It is 3-0.
I declare a quorum. I'm going to call the City of Groton Mayor and Council meeting for Tuesday, January 16, 2018 to order. Clerk Patrick, will you please call the roll?
Present are Mayor Keith Hedrick, Deputy Mayor Lawrence Garish, Councilors Joe Rusk, Jamal Beckford, Stephen Sheffield, Guinevere Depot, Rashad Carter, Finance Director Ron Newhouse, Clerk Deborah Patrick.
Okay, we stand for salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Recognitions, awards, and memorials. Okay. Receive the citizens' petitions. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak? Okay. Hearing none, we'll skip the response. Approval of the minutes. I need a motion to approve January 2nd, 2018 Special Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. I need a motion for the January 2nd, 2018 Mayor and Council meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Communications and reports. Councilor Rusk.
This Friday is Friday Night Out for middle schoolers. All you have to do is bring your student ID, and there's a $3 entrance fee this year. It is from 6:30 to 8:30. It's a ton of fun if you guys want to come. It's always fun. And I encourage all middle schoolers to show up. And it's a town-wide event.
Okay, anything else?
That's it.
Okay, Councilor Beckford.
Yesterday I attended Martin Luther King Day Memorial at St. John's right here in Groton City, and I just want to say it was a very good program. We had a lot of great speakers, those that attend the church, as well as I want to say Dr. Kimberly McClear-Young from the Coast Guard Academy. She had some very inspiring words, and it was an overall great program.
Councilor Sheffield.
Yes, I also attended the Martin Luther King celebration at St. John's, and I will concur with Councilor Beckford. It was an outstanding event, and although it didn't seem like it was long because everything flowed so well, but it was a long service, but it was well worth it, and very spiritual and reflexive to the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's passing. So we are at that moment that and we hope that the nation will heal. We seem to have gone backward. It appears since those years, and I hope we come out of it and become a more positive country overall, and be a model again for the world. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Depot.
No report.
Councilor Carter. Deputy Mayor Garish.
Yeah, I also attended Dr. King's service, and I have to agree with the other councilors that were there, but I also would be remiss if I didn't mention Reverend Coleman, who the pastor of that church does such an outstanding job, and this is, I think, my 4th or 5th visit there on that occasion, and I always find it very, very spiritually motivating.
Okay. Finance Director Yost. City Clerk Deb Patrick.
I also attended the Martin Luther King Jr. observance, and just agree with what everyone else has said. There's no need for me to say it again.
Okay. Instead of going through my schedule, there's a couple things that I want to talk about. The budget. We are in the budget season. I have received the police department budget and the highway department budget. If you look at what At your seats rather, is the budget schedule from the Article 6 annual budget preparation. It says department heads of the police department and highway department shall submit their proposed budgets to the mayor no later than the first week in January of each year. The mayor shall finalize these budgets and within 2 weeks of receiving the same, submit them to the council for review and approval. The mayor shall submit the request for reimbursement to the manager of the town of Groton. So next week, you will receive the budgets as a cow. And then on the first week in February, we'll be voting for those budgets, and then I will be submitting them to the town manager. On a note, we have some challenges overall. I found out Friday that we have an increase in our insurances of $460,000. So that's a little over $500,000, or right around $500,000.
It's just under, yeah.
Oh, just under $500,000.
Yeah, the mill's
Okay.
up to about 1.1.
Okay, thank you. So it's right around $500,000. We are evaluating that and determining the impact. The other thing that I want to talk about that goes hand in hand with this is we've talked about sewer usage fees and the WPCA. I don't know, the Water Pollution Control Authority. I don't know if I've been clear that one of the things that I am looking to do is to pull the WPCA from out of the municipal budget and putting it into the utility along with electric and water where it will be managed, and then it will be run by user fees. So there's some things that we need to do. The utility is working on lines of account in order to set up the accounting properly. We're also looking at customer service and billing so we can make sure that we can bill properly. And one of the things we'll be discussing next week is we'll be discussing this rollout and the move and why we need to move it, the effects of the move. But I wanted to start by talking about it now, just to start publicizing it, start marketing it, if you will, so that the public can see where we're going. Because basically right now your taxes are paying for your sewers. So let's say you're a family of 4 and you have a $200,000 house and you pay X amount of taxes. When your kids go to school and your house is still $200,000, you're using your sewer less, but you're still paying the same amount. So this way, if you have user fees, then one of the things that it does is you basically determine what your amount's going to be. And in addition to that, by going to user fees, there are now grants that we can go after that we could not go after when it's under the municipality. And there are some other things that are pluses to it. One of the challenges is going to be for people who have been non-taxable entities. You will now receive a bill for a sewer usage fee. So some places like Yukon Avery Point, churches, daycare centers, things like that that are nonprofits will now receive a bill for sewer usage fee. But we'll go more into that next week. We'll give you a full-blown presentation on the WPCA. The reason I'm bringing it up now is because what I want to do is we are working to make sure that we move the WPCA to user fees at the same time that we take it out of the municipal budget for taxes, so that you're not paying taxes and user fees at the same time. So what happens is your taxes should go down and the user fees will go up. They should be relatively close. We're looking at that. One of the advantages to pulling the WPCA out of the municipality is that there are projects that have not been completed that need to be completed, and the reason they haven't been completed is because we didn't want to raise taxes in order to complete those projects. Now that they are funded by, or now in the future, they will be funded by fees. So the fees are set up so that they have running capital, so they can take care of infrastructure and things like that, and that the city is looking forward and taking care of their infrastructure. That's another advantage to moving the WPCA out of the municipality into the utility. So that's one thing I want to talk about. Another thing I want to talk about is we have some openings in boards and commissions. On beaches and parks, we have 2 members that we're aware of right now. There is 1 application on file that is being considered. Conservation Committee, we have an opening for 1 regular member, 1 alternate member. For the Eastern Point Historic District, we have openings for 2 alternate members. For Harbor Management, we have an opening for 1 regular member and 1 alternate member. Planning and Zoning, 1 regular member and 1 alternate member. The Economic Development Commission, we have an opening for 1 regular member, 1 alternate member. And the Zoning Board of Appeals, we have openings for 2 regular members and 1 alternate member. So if there's anybody out in the audience that is interested in getting active in your community and wants to have a say in the way your city is run, please contact us. There are applications on the website, on the city's website, and then please get involved in boards and commissions. That way you have a say in what's going on in your city. Additionally, we have 2 council liaison positions that are open. 1 is the Airport Advisory, and 1 is for the Board of Ed. So if any of you are interested in either of those 2 positions, Airport Advisory or Board of Ed, please let me know. You don't have to let me know now. Actually, that's the Board of Ed, Town Council, RTM, City Council Liaison Committee is what that is. It's a total, Councilor Russ.
So I had taken that for Counselor Heed, and I'm willing to keep 1 or both of them if no one else is interested. I just figured since we had a new counselor, we'd throw it out there again and see if anybody else was interested in it.
Well, and these give you an opportunity to get involved a little more on a town level so you can see other things. The Airport Advisory, they don't, how often?
Once, 3 times a year, 4 times a year,
Yeah.
tops.
So they don't meet very often.
Mhm.
And the liaison committee, I forget how often they meet. I think it's like once a quarter, something like that.
Something like that.
So, and then the last thing that I have is that we are looking at parking in the city overall. I had this on my list to look down the road 1, 3, and 5 years based on growth at Electric Boat and with Pfizer. But there have been some events that have come up, so we have started looking sooner. And one of the outcomes of that is that Baker Avenue and Beach Pond Road will shortly become residential parking only. So the police and public works are looking at that. They're looking at signage, the ones they need to remove, the ones they need to put up, and then they'll get in touch with the residents there so that the residents will know what they need to do in order to get the appropriate parking passes so that they do not get tickets. We are also looking at other areas in the city for the application of residential parking or resident parking, probably residential parking. I spoke with Susan Adams today, who is a government liaison with Electric Boat, and I've requested her to set up a meeting so that John Burt, town manager, and the town manager, and I can talk to Electric Boat about the future and about parking, potential parking problems that I foresee and that we foresee, and potential solutions for doing that. So I know we've talked topically about parking before. We are continuing to do that. So Councilor Russ.
Thank you for looking into that. I know Baker Avenue was one of the big questions that I'd brought up. And can you explain for the residents what the difference is between residential parking and resident parking? Because even I get confused.
Yeah.
Do you have a better?
Residential parking, I believe, includes all residents on the street. Where resident parking, I believe, you would have to apply for a permit. And an individual on the street would, if you qualified, would get a permit so that you could legally park on the street.
But I'm going to take that as a lookup, seeing as that I do not know it fluently. And I will get back to the council. You'll hear from me when we talk during the committee of the whole. I'll brief you on that.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else under communication reports? Okay, committee referrals. Councilor Russ.
I wanted to make a referral to the Beach and Park Committee. The Youth Advisory Committee used to be in existence. I don't even remember when it started, and it stopped meeting probably a year ago. I was on that committee before I was on council. And it really is a committee to look at what services we should have for middle school kids, because that tends to be the area where a lot of elementary school kids have a lot of things going on, a lot of high schoolers have a lot of things going on, and how can we keep our middle schoolers busy, active. So it'd be great to have that committee back up and running. So I'm going to pass that over to Beach and Park and see if they want to bring that back. Thank you.
Do you know why they haven't been meeting?
A lack of quorum.
Lack of quorum because the committee is too large.
Correct.
It's difficult
Okay.
so they need to pare it down.
Who established that committee?
It
Was
Was that established at the mayor level?
I believe
Yes.
so. Yes.
Yes.
And so.
And it started as 13 members,
Okay.
and that's just too many people. And we whittled down to about 5. I want
Then
to
let's-
say.
Let's do this. Kirkpatrick, I'm not sure what my schedule is. I think it's crazy tomorrow, but I need you to get together with me. We'll get together
Okay.
and we'll figure out what I need to do for my part to make it more tenable. And because I think this is
You may want to include
huge.
Mary in that if she's
Yeah,
available.
I'll include the Parks and Rec director. Oh, I agree, absolutely. And we'll do that. We'll still refer it to Beach and Parks, and then we'll see what we can do to get this up. But if the size is unmanageable, maybe it's time for us to take a look at that, look at maybe the direction, the guidelines, the purpose of it. I know that we're trying to target our middle school kids to give them something to do.
Well, and in the past, the Youth Advisory Committee has done things like the babysitting classes, Friday night out,
Right.
knitting classes, a lot of different things for kids.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else under committee referrals? Okay, under new business, Councilor Russ.
Thank you. Resolution R-18-1-9. Therefore, it be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize and approve the city of Groton to enter into a contract with East Construction LLC, 412 Maple Ave, Uncasville, Connecticut, for the renovations of the interior portion of the first level of Fire Headquarters, 140 Broad Street, Groton, Connecticut, in the amount not to exceed $56,000 and no cents, to be paid from the bond capital funds. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Excuse me, Chief DeLeo, if you could come up. Do we have a chair? Or a chair, and then you can have the traveling chair, absolutely.
Just one topical issue off of the last discussion. We had a babysitter class scheduled for Saturday, and we had to cancel it today because we did not have enough kids signed up. We advertised it a couple times on the rec Facebook page, and then we copied it and put it out on the fire department Facebook page. Matter of fact, representative from my name escapes me even said, if you want to raise a little money, this is a good way to do it. But unfortunately, we didn't have enough kids sign up. So that is in process. And again, we'll be there Friday night with the PD, and the kids to have some fun,
Great.
which we stopped doing last year at a good time. So.
It is fun.
We, at the recommendation of the finance department, we did put, or finance added on a, what do you wanna call it? Contingency, that if anything else pops up, anytime you do surgery out of an old building, you always find something. So we're hoping, and we're intending not to use that contingency, because we need that for other stuff. Like we talked about last time, trying to get the lot paved. But that's absolutely the right thing to do, once you pick up on the numbers.
So the total, as I kind of went through last week, where just, the base bid was just under like 44,000, 43,757. There was an upgrade adult that was put onto it for 7,240 for the total project cost of 50,997, which was still under the next lowest bid of 58,447, which was just the base bid. So the low bid was East Construction, who has done work for the city and actually for the firehouse. The chief's been happy with the work that they performed so far. So that was the recommendation of the purchasing agent and the chief to go with East Construction, the low bidder. Like the chief said, with these projects, we usually look to add around a 10% contingency just for those unknowns that we're not aware of. So that's where, and just rounding it is where the 56,000 came from. There's just under a 10%.
We had another question too, the total we had left over
Yeah,
was?
and then the total to date right now is 62,148 that we know is good money as far as going in there. We're still looking, as I mentioned last week, there was some confusion when this was originally issued, the bond piece where there was a grant portion and what was charged to each of them. So we're gonna review that, but the 62,148 is conservative, knowing the money that's there. There just may be a bigger pool if we can unravel some of what happened.
Yeah, at that same time, we were very fortunate to get 3 out of 5 years, we had 3 grants. One was for $720,000, another one was for $50,000, and then we had a couple more $50,000, $60,000 grants, or actually more than that. But anyway, we brought all those things in. Some of those were construction features. We did not have to pay for the sprinkler system. We did not have to pay for the fire alarm system. And unfortunately, in the previous bookkeeping, somebody got confused and put the money in the wrong place. So we've been working diligently to get the numbers back in the right columns. But we know that the 62 and change is solid. We think there's more.
Councilor Russ?
That 62,148 is after the 56,000 or
No,
prior?
that's
Okay.
prior to.
Okay, so we are almost maxing out.
Right,
this
and that's why
money.
we're looking into this to see what happened with those grants and trying to recreate and make sure we understand, or try to understand how it was all applied.
Okay.
So there's potentially more money than the 62, but the way that it was reported, we know there's 62,000 there.
One of the things, to the council, one of the things that we are doing is we have little snippets of money here and there and that kind of thing. We are corralling that money so that I first and then you next understand where all our money is and what projects they're allocated for and whether or not there's additional money that is unallocated. I don't mean to say free money, but unallocated money, and then we can allocate that money to other things. And then one of the areas that we're looking at is probably in February, we will be turning over the Colonel Ledger building to the town. And there's bonding associated with Colonel Ledger. And so we are looking, I'm having the department heads look at CIPs so that we can obligate the funding from there. But that's going to take a Freeman's meeting. And before I have that Freeman's meeting, I'll make sure that we have a full understanding of how much money that is, what the projects are, a full detailed description of the projects. You guys, the council will be briefed, and then we'll probably run either a public information session or a public hearing so that the citizens, the freemen, can come out and ask questions and make sure they understand before I go back to the freemen to repurpose this money.
If you remember, after the little project we just finished here with the HVAC and the fire alarm, we did a series of PowerPoint presentations one evening and for an educational value, so that everybody realized that we were just taking care of some stuff that we take care of, not wasting the money.
Right.
We're a little tight that way.
Any other questions or comments on this resolution? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Steve. I need a motion to amend the agenda to go into executive session pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 1-206 Alpha to discuss personnel, and that's fire department.
So moved.
And, well, hold on, to include the mayor and council on.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. There will be no action that comes out of this executive session.